Oh, hey, I got my guest star, John Button, here. He's my old friend and touring...
I'm not that old. Yeah, I am.
Right. Old man in Japanese. No, a kid. Old friend of mine. We've toured together forever, and he's over here touring with me with Kiyoshi Nagabutsu in Japan. How loud are those insects and birds? It's insane, right?
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy, but hopefully you guys can hear what we're saying. So I got an insane question here, and I'm going to ask you to help me answer this.
Okay.
It's from a guy named Fyodor. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to try and read this. It says, he really likes all I'm doing. Keep going. Thanks, Fyodor. My question is about musician's state of minds while playing. He's a guitar player, and he says, spot that if he's creating music on guitar, he has a particular state of mind, looking inside himself and listening to my feelings related to what I'm doing. Okay, so he's trying to get in creative state of mind and not think too analytically, I think. If any screen becomes a part of this process, and it requires more than a push of a button or turning on some different parts of the brain and immediately stuck with creation. Okay, so I think what he's saying is that when he's using a computer all of a sudden or something like that, and
right.
recording and screen, and it's pulling him out of his creative flow, and that's kind of a drag. So he says, looks like brain switch to receiving mode if computer become involved, and creation mode turn off. So he splits creation and mixing or computer addition from music writing. Okay, I understand. So we're talking about basically the old right brain, left brain argument here.
Right.
Right? So how do you feel about that? Like when you're a computer recording, John's bass player, by the way, I think I said that. Sheryl Crow, Roger Daltrey, Shakira. This guy's played with everybody, and it does a ton of sessions and stuff like that. So he's got a home studio as well, just like I do. Does bass sessions from home. So if you're trying to be creative or write a song, and you're sitting there dealing with a computer at the same time, maybe a piece of software you're not comfortable with. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think if everything's working right with a computer,
yeah,
it seems to me, I mean, for me personally, it doesn't seem to bother my creativity, but if something goes wrong, you know, if you're trying to like you say, if it's a new piece of software or something, you're trying to figure that out at the same time as being musically creative. I don't know, that seems pretty stifling, really. So
yeah, I totally agree, 100%. And so the answer is, I think, that you need to learn your software and learn your computer so that it's become so second nature that it's almost as simple as playing your guitar to you or driving a car or whatever. So your brain, when you're trying to be creative, doesn't want to deal with analytical things, that's for sure. And so if you're trying to learn a new piece of software, like, oh, I just got Pro Tools, how do I create a new track? How do I arm a track?
Totally.
And meanwhile, you got a song idea in your head or a riff you're trying to lay down. That's bad news.
Yeah, I think he's right on with the talking about, or maybe you mentioned, the left brain, right brain thing. It's like, you know, you're kind of going from one type of thinking to another type of thinking. So I think you're right in saying that, yeah, you need to get all the software stuff down so that your brain isn't having to access that. You can just kind of seamlessly, that can work in the background. So you're concentrating on the creativity, and it's almost subconscious working the analytical stuff.
So one thing I really recommend for that is if you get a new piece of software like Logic or Pro Tools or something, often they will come with a demo song. And there'll be tutorials and stuff on how to use the program and kind of walk you through it. Like a Logic always came, I don't know if it does now, but it always came with a demo song that was like, you know, some recorded tracks and some synth parts, and then they'd sort of walk you through in their tutorials how to edit and how to create a new, they'd say, okay, now take this and stretch this part out and, you know, create a new region here and do these things, and you'd use and so the wonderful thing about that is you don't have any vested interest in some demo song. It's like somebody else's creation, and you're not trying to be creative. You're completely thinking analytically about the program, and, you know, so make good use of that demo stuff that they give you when you buy a new piece of software, and spend some time on that. Devote time to just learning the software and the program, and don't worry about being creative. And, you know, I made the mistake. I got Pro Tools the first time, I remember, and like open my computer, this is great, I'm going to write a song, I got this great idea, and then I'm frustrated like 45 minutes later just trying to figure out how to make the interface work and stuff like that, right?
I did the same thing.
Did you? We all do, right?
Somebody called me up and said, hey, can you do a bass track while you're in London? I was like, sure.
Got my new inbox?
Well, no, I went and bought one and bought Logic and then was like, okay, I have to record now, and had to all figure it all out in my hotel room, and it was a nightmare.
Total nightmare. So Tyler Morris says, do I have any suggestions in building a YouTube music channel?
I have no input on this.
Yeah, well,
maybe I should bow it.
Yeah, but the ones you watch, right? Here's the thing.
Right.
It's about content. It's about making, like, if you flip through YouTube like anybody else, like I do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the stuff you like, you consistently go back to watching, maybe because of good content, right? I mean, it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
As far as, so the thing is quality content. Oh my God, I can't believe how loud that bird is. The thing is creating quality content, We have guitar lessons or comedy videos or whatever you're doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be good.
It's got to be good.
That's just the bottom line.
Exactly. And so I don't know what I did. My channel's become, fairly popular, and I don't know. I just tried to create a consistent quality content where I was giving something back, the music community, either through guitar lessons that are free or reviews that people wanted to watch or that sort of thing. And then it just seems to, build from there. It's very organic.
Well, I think your videos that you do as far as gear demonstration videos, they're recorded really well. They're played really well. And also, I think you don't just, plug the box in and play some guitar and go, that's what it sounds like. I mean, you make a song and you use the product within an environment that the product's going to be used in. I mean, I think it's a realistic use of it, not just you by yourself recorded on an iPhone listening to a guitar with a pedal on it by itself. It's like it's in a mix, and that's how you're going to use it anyway, theoretically. So I think.
Well, thanks for saying. Yeah, I tried to. My formula has kind of been to play simple things, musical things that showcase the gear, you know, and maybe keep talking to a minimum. Even though these videos are all about talking, but these are a different thing. In the gear demos, anyway, keep the talking to a minimum. And so if you're doing guitar lessons, make sure it's recorded well.
Yeah, that helps.
Make sure it sounds great, and then make sure you're kind of keep the talking to a bare minimum and be very direct and deliberate with the things you are talking about, and be very. I think that I taught guitar lessons really early on when I was a kid, like I was 16, 17. That was my first real job, sort of, and. I tried to develop a style of teaching where I would explain things very directly and simply, and that was what I wanted to do: get concepts across very clearly and directly and in a simple way. And that's the same thing I still try and do to this day, be it in lesson videos or in gear demo videos and stuff like that. Is be very direct and clear and simple, both in the things that I play and in my style of talking.
Yeah,
maybe
get to the point.
Yeah, get to the point, and move it along, sort of thing. So maybe try and incorporate some of those things into your videos, whatever they are. So Lewis says that I've played with two of his favorite songwriters and singers, Chris Cornell and Draco Rosa. John also did the Draco Rosa gig with me, so if he happens to be here, we can ask him about his experience. Yeah, Lewis was asking me about the experience of playing with these people, similarities and differences between both of the gigs. And also, what's my hockey team? Well, I'm from Edmonton, so it's always got to be the Oilers, even though they've been doing less than stellar in recent times. But anyway, so Draco Rosa. Let's talk about Draco first.
Sure.
So we both did some touring and recording with. So for those out there that don't know, Draco Rosa, fantastic, mainly Spanish language artist, but also has put out many songs and albums in English and.
You got a band in English, Maggie's Dream.
That's right, Maggie's Dream, who at one time I believe Lenny Kravitz also fronted.
Before Lenny was the singer before Draco, yeah.
Lenny was the singer before Draco, so and we played with him from about, I want to say, it was 2002 or 3 through 2005, something like that. 2 or 3 years we did.
I think, yeah, something like that.
So, kind of an amazing experience. I think in all that time we maybe played 6 gigs in the United States. I think that's it, like 6.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we did mostly South America, a lot of Europe. We came here to Japan once. So a lot of, really interesting touring. And he's a fascinating guy. He put out an album called Vagabundo, which was widely regarded as like one of the coolest sort of indie rock Latin language albums ever recorded, I think. Right? Vagabundo was like...
Yeah.
It came out in the, was it late 90s, I think?
That sounds right, yeah.
And Yeah, it was like a fascinating record. Draco kind of goes left when you think he's going to go right. He just like creatively, he's just, he's not.
Free spirit.
Yeah, he doesn't care about writing hits. He's a free spirit. He's a true artist. He's a great artist. He paints and stuff too. He doesn't just do music. And he was amazing to play with. I mean, some of the gigs we did, like Columbia.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest show we'll ever do together. It's 140,000 people at Rockwell Park in Columbia, 2004.
Yeah, and we started off the show with a jam, right?
That's right. So Draco, I learned a lot from playing with him. He didn't want to do anything typical. So maybe you're going to walk on stage in front of 140,000 people and you got some nerves, obviously. We walked on the stage, we know what the first song is supposed to be, we're ready to start, and he starts playing some guitar riff that none of us had heard.
Right.
And he's playing, and my memory of it is he looks at Toss, the drummer, because we're all kind of confused, and he says, "Were you going to come in or what?" Right? And
so suddenly we're playing some song that we don't know in front of 140,000 people.
And no sound check or anything.
No, we just walked on stage and he started playing whatever that was, and we're listening, and I guess it's those chord changes, and we start playing. Go for it.
Exactly. And generally, you know how it is, like you get up on stage and you're, a little nervous or whatever, and you get into that first song, it's a little uncomfortable, you're like, but this was his way of throwing us off guard a little bit. All of a sudden we had to be creative and come up with a part, and we're listening to him, and it kind of allowed us to get comfortable with the stage sound because we had no check. And I went, man, that was amazing, It was like he just threw us off our game, and we played that for 2-3 minutes, and he goes, all right, let's go. And we went into the first song, and I was just like, wow. And it kind of set the tone for the whole gig. Biggest gig maybe I'll ever play, and it felt like a club show. It really did. There was people yelling requests from the front, and we were taking them and just doing random songs in the middle of the set.
Yeah. And speaking of it being like a club, we set up, we're playing this huge place, big stage. We were set up super close together.
Tight, like the
No
Beatles.
drum riser, just like a little, it was like we were set up in the corner of a club, but we're playing this enormous, huge venue with a giant stage. We're just in the middle of it.
Something he did, I think, to make us feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And not, he wanted it to be like, he wanted the vibe of the band playing. He didn't want to make some spectacle with pyro and and whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it wasn't he was about making a vibe and getting this kind of cyclical energy effect going with the crowd. That's what I remember, is that the crowd would feed off the band and the band would feed off the crowd. And Latin audiences are unbelievable. I mean, they're like so much passion and they're totally into art down there and music, and it felt like, I don't know, maybe, not to be critical of the United States, but there is an element of touring in the U.S. where people have kind of seen it all, done it all,
Yeah, they're out there with their arms folded.
Yeah, they're, whatever, bringing a picnic lunch and drinking a beer, and maybe they're doing those, the Hollywood Bowl where you can get your dinner turkey and that kind of thing. That's not going on down in Columbia, It's just
they're just going crazy. They're into it.
Yeah, like the 70s or something in America, like Woodstock or something. That's the vibe down there. So it was great playing with Draco. Really wonderful.
Yeah.
God, we've gone on and on about it, but so Chris Cornell, similar in many ways. That guy loved to go and just play everywhere. We played everywhere from the tip of Norway, literally at Tromsø, Norway, 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle, all the way down to Buenos Aires, Argentina. He just loves to tour. He loves to play live. He loves to go play music anywhere where there's a stage and a PA and a crowd that's willing to listen. And he's one of my best friends. I love the guy, and he's just a sweetheart and obviously an amazing songwriter. Amazing to be on stage with him. I learned a lot from him as well. And all artists. Now we're over here playing with Kiyoshi Nagabuchi, and I see a lot of similarities between Kiyoshi and Chris and Draco, just with their art. And, So you've played with people that I haven't played with, like Roger, and he sounds like he likes to have a lot of fun up there too, and just kind of.
He does, yeah. He's very relaxed in a lot of ways. Like it's funny. Some of these people, as a sideman, you feel like, oh, you want to do a good job and play everything right, and like Roger really wanted it to just be passionate and musical and energetic and have it rock, and he loved it when there was mistakes and train wrecks on stage. That was his favorite thing.
Right.
He didn't want it to all be perfect, and
So that probably took a lot of pressure off and allowed you to stretch out and play things that you normally wouldn't. If there
to an extent, right? Yeah. I mean, I sometimes have trouble subscribing to that myself because I'm such a perfectionist. But
never plays a bad note.
That's
ever
totally not true. But yeah, I mean that's definitely something I have to strive to just be a little more relaxed and let things go. And it's I think playing with those kinds of people really helped me with that.
Yeah, those are the things you learn. Like even every gig is different, and so you play with these different guys. You learn something from every single one of them, and it's fascinating. That's a great thing about playing. There's a magic thing with playing in a band for 20 or 30 years for sure, like that we maybe don't get to experience,
right.
As doing the kind of career that we do. But we get something else, which is the variety and getting to learn things from all these different people.
Right.
I've always thought it would be great to be in a band for a long time and
right.
develop that relationship,
Sure, yeah. It's definitely a different thing, yeah. But what about, I mean, he was talking about comparing Chris and Draco, but what if we talked about Tsuyoshi and Milen Farmer? I mean, because those are like really polar opposites, right?
So
maybe they're not artists that he's familiar with, but...
Yeah, Milen Farmer is a French artist that we both toured with in 2013, went there and toured, and she's a massive artist in France.
Sort of like the Madonna of France, maybe you'd say?
Yes, exactly. So between Tsuyoshi and Milen, well, one thing is they both want to put on a grand spectacle of a show that the crowd will come to and really remember for a long time, and they sink a lot of their heart and soul and resources and energy and finances and whatnot into making sure that the crowd walks away feeling like they're not phoning it in either of them. Right?
True. I would say the differences between them, and part of the reason I brought them up to me is like Milen, we played the same arrangement at the same tempo.
Right.
Every night. Every show was pretty much exactly the same, and you played everything perfectly, and it was very kind of, would you say, regimented maybe?
Yeah, sure.
It was very, and it was pop, so there was a lot of sequencers and a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then with Tsuyoshi, the arrangements are completely fluid. Like, we don't know, he will just do this, and suddenly we're playing the middle section of the song is just going to be open, and then he'll point at you and do a hand signal and we'll break down, and then we'll go to this other, and you just...
Or what's our favorite? When he looks at Yoji and goes, saxophone! Right.
Yeah, or,
we'll
be playing some song, and suddenly he'll tell the band to break down, and it's a bass solo.
Right.
That I've never played a bass solo on this song.
So you gotta be ready.
What are these what am I doing? You just never know. You never know what's going to happen, which is kind of amazing. It's really fun. It keeps you on your toes.
Keeps you young.
But a totally different gig.
Totally different gig.
Than comparing it to the Milen gig, where you're playing everything pretty much the same.
Yeah, the thing that I take away from that is that no two gigs are the same. I say this a lot, but it's like if you're a younger player, you get a tour, get in a band, that band breaks up or the tour ends or whatever, now you got to go get another gig. Don't expect that the new gig is going to be like the old one, because it's not. I can guarantee you there might be a couple similarities, but more often than not, no two artists do anything the same.
That's right. Yeah, and you have to be open to how different people do different things. Certain people rehearse a certain way and want to rehearse a certain amount, and you have to be flexible in kind of, if you go from one gig to another gig, kind of being open to those kind of differences.
I think so.
Yeah.
Orlando asked what do I think about PRS guitars. I've had a couple PRS guitars. I had a McCarty that I particularly liked. I'm kind of a Gibson sort of fan, and so the different, I either sort of gravitate towards, I'm very traditional, I don't know, the Fender scale guitars or the Gibson scale guitars, and many of the PRSs are right in the middle at a 25-inch scale. And so I liked the McCarty actually quite a bit because it was basically like Les Paul style construction. I think that's maybe the same as the David Grissom model is now. So I like those guitars. Those ones were really cool. My McCarty was a wonderful guitar, really versatile with a coil tap too. It was a cool one. But those are the only two that I really have a frame of reference for.
Did you know that I have a PRS bass?
Oh yeah, you do, don't you? Is 5-string?
That's a 5-string fretless.
Wow, okay.
It's a pretty good instrument.
Is it?
I don't use it a ton. Yeah, I mean, I don't play fretless much anymore. It's kind of out of fashion these days, I guess.
Is it? Come on.
I think a little bit.
Bring it back.
It might be coming back, but I think...
What's your fretless impression?
Meow, 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 meow.
All right. So Joseph asks if I have a signature Prs guitar coming. Prs doesn't really do the signature thing. They like to do artist spec models, and this is something coming from John. I totally agree with him. I mean, he thinks, well, if an artist plays this certain spec guitar, like Scott Henderson or something, for example, you can order the Scott Henderson Spec Classic, and you can call them up. They know exactly what Scott uses, and you can order a guitar like that. But he's not really so much into the artist models. And I sort of concur. I agree. Recently, I did that black standard model that has the red back on it and the thornbuckers in it and stuff. And that's kind of my spec standard, I guess. So if you were interested in something like that, you could call them up. They've got the spec sheet and they know what to do. But it's not going to be like a Pete Thorn model. Okay, so Dave says he's wondering, how do you get to audition for bigger Sideman gigs? They don't post the pro gigs on Craigslist. How do you make those connections and get in that scene? Well, for me, it was maybe starting with Craigslist, or starting. You remember the Recycler in LA?
Oh yeah,
or
absolutely.
Music Connection.
Yeah.
That was,
Music Connection. Yeah.
I answered a lot of ads
And Recyclers.
and went and met musicians in really bad bands and stuff like that, and played some gigs with some bands that didn't enjoy playing with, and some that I did. But that was you kind of have to network, and then it's meeting people, right?
Absolutely. So when I moved to LA, I knew exactly 2 people. And I did a few like recycler paper things, but they were a little, I don't know, that didn't work out so great for me. But basically those 2 people were both musicians, and I played in bands with them, and then through the other people in those groups, I'd meet a couple other people, and after a couple of months, I was doing tons of rehearsals like for free with all kinds. Basically I'll play with anybody that's decent. I would play with them.
Paying your dues.
And I would always do my best with anybody I played with. I would always show up prepared. I'd know the songs. I'd always give it my 100%. And those people go, oh, hey, he's really good. I should recommend him for this thing. And as people start recommending you, hopefully, if you're doing a great job, those people that you get recommended to are a little bit better each time. And you just work your way up, and after 25 years of these baby steps up the ladder, you start getting recommended for bigger gigs. And if you keep putting in giving it your 110% and doing a great job, and you just keep working it up. One thing leads
to another. John has a reputation in LA for being a total jerk. No, I kid. He has a reputation.
It's true.
He is one of the most solid people I know. He's one of a kind, and his energy never changes. I don't know that I've ever seen you in a bad mood.
Shut up, man.
But honestly, he's known for being such a fun guy on tour, and just being the kind of guy that people want to be around. So not only that,
but that is important.
It's your reputation, I mean, I'm a cranky old son of a bitch compared to you,
Well, that's not true.
And so anyway, he built this reputation for being, coming in, knowing the parts cold, being a stellar bass player. But on top of that, you just want to be around him because he's a good guy to be. He's one of my best friends. So it's like that's the kind of person you're going to refer for a touring gig. Because now, let's say I get a call from somebody, hey, you want to come audition for this gig? And maybe, we're putting the whole band together. We need a drummer and a bass player. And he's going to be the first one I'm going to call. Yeah, sure, I know a guy. First of all, I know they're going to love him. And second of all, I want to be on the road with him because he's my pal and he's fun to be on tour with. And
on the flip side, if I'm an annoying jerk all the time,
no matter how good a bass player you are,
absolutely doesn't matter. If you're on tour with me for 2 months and I'm driving you nuts,
right?
When they ask for a bass player, guess who? The first person you're going to go, I'm not going to call him.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spend another 2 months with that jerk.
Yeah.
So it's definitely just being an easygoing person and easy to be around is really important. Probably, unfortunately, more important than your playing ability.
I'm gonna go 60-40. Be a good guy. 60%. That is the most important thing, and then make sure you got your playing together, of course, too. And that's how you do it. Just take any and every gig you can get when you're young and you can afford to do such things. And one thing will lead to another. If you've really got your playing together and you're a good person, word's going to get around.
And also, I think, like I mentioned, always doing your best. Like,
right.
No matter even if you're playing for 3 people in some stupid bar with some who knows what, you're playing Jimmy Buffett songs or, it's like, don't phone it in.
Right.
You know, you know.
You don't know who's watching, and maybe the drummer in that band gets a gig with somebody the next week and is like, oh, I'd love to call that bass player, but he was really phoning it in at the gig, so I'll call this other guy. You know? So you don't know. It could. You always have to try hard and be the kind of person that other people want to play with, and yeah, that's it. All right, I think that's it for this video, and please hit subscribe if you haven't. Come back and see me for more videos real soon. John and I talk about doing maybe some bass-centric videos, like bass gear, and we're just kind of brainstorming some ideas about that. So we'll watch for that real soon too. We might do something where I do a playlist that's more centered towards bass guitar and bass effects and things like that. And because I thought that'd be kind of fun, it'd be something different from my channel. I'm not really a bass player, and he's a masterful bass player. So watch for that real soon. All right, I'm Pete Thorn. That's John Button. Thanks, John.
Guys. My pleasure. Always a pleasure. Maybe I'll see you on this playlist soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.